Subs. Now, as some of you may know, his substitutions, David Moyes' substitutions, usually grate on me a little bit. It's not necessarily the subs he makes. Some are right, some are wrong. Every manager's the same. It's not a thing. It's how long he takes. During a game, there's nothing I find more frustrating than watching us. And I feel that a substitute is required, but he doesn't do one. And it becomes even more frustrating when the opposition manager is making changes and so on and so forth. And I think this game last season was the perfect example. It was post-lockdown, we played Spurs, and I thought we were playing really well. I thought it was a very good game. It was a close game. It was 0-0. And Mourinho started doing the changes, and we didn't do any. And I felt like we were just tiring. That was all. I thought the players that were out on the pitch had given everything. They were just tired. And then Spurs eventually won 2-0. And I still do think the lack of substitutions played its big part. However, Sunday, nailed it. David Moyes turned into the Messiah, if you like. All three substitutions, we know who they are. Yarmolenko, Lanzini, and then Snodgrass followed on. All three subs were perfect, and all three made a humongous contribution to the game. And credit where credit's due, I thought I'd do a little video about it, because there's two things that stops me really buying into the David Moyes. It's not really a project, is it? A project would insinuate you're actually building something in terms of the transfer market regime, if you like. The David Moyes thing, the two things that stop me is, one, the lack of his in-game management, if you like. I find it extremely frustrating. And the second is the transfer market palaver, but I'm going to cover that in another video with Gonzo. I'll tell you that about the end though. But for this one, it's all about the subs, and it's a positive video. It's a feel-good video. I've got some other bits and pieces as well, but it's mainly about the substitutions. When you watch the goals back that we scored, I can't help but smile at the sort of the contributions of not just Lanzini's stunner at the end of it, if you like. Take the first goal. Lanzini wins that free kick. I think it's a very underrated header by Balbuena, by the way. The delivery from Creswell was absolutely stunning. The header is just fantastic, right into that corner. Leach has got no chance. And I felt at the time, it was a consolation goal, and I felt it was almost like too good to be a consolation goal. But the second one is look at Yarmolenko. I mean, Jared Bowen does really well to close it down in the corner, stops a clearance and deflects it into our possession. But Yarmolenko gets it. He's got three Spurs players around him. They're not like up against him. They're all a yard away from him. But he just shapes his body well, holds it out well. He's just aware of what's going on around him. His pass to Soufal is perfect to play him in. It's a no-look pass, in it, but this is the equivalent of like a... It's not quite Firmino open goal thing. There's nothing more annoying than Firmino tapping those things in and everybody's, no-look goal. Well, he's not going to miss, is he? And I think Yarmolenko's got a little bit of that here. He knows what's going on and stuff, and I don't think the no-look thing tricks anyone. But the pass is perfectly weighted. It's brilliant. It's just the awareness of where Soufal's going. As a fullback overlapping and running in, you couldn't ask for a better ball than that from Yarmolenko. And then it's him that makes a huge contribution, isn't it? It's 3-2 at this point now. It's now 3-2. What is it? The 92nd minute, I think it is. It starts at halfway line. It's Gareth Bale's chance. But if you look back at it, at the halfway line, Yarmolenko's chasing Harry Kane, who then plays it to Bale, who's then up against Ogbonna. Yarmolenko overtakes Aaron Creswell, which is fine. It's the 92nd minute. Creswell's been playing for 90 minutes. Yarmolenko's just on. And then when Bale does his trickery, skins Ogbonna, Yarmolenko just pushes him. And it's just enough to put anyone that's played football knows someone doing that to you puts you off balance. Has Bale missed because of the push? Perhaps not, but it's certainly contributed to Gareth Bale missing as well. And the way he just gets up and runs away as if he's done nothing wrong and stuff, it's just brilliant. And that's the kind of attitude we need from players like Yarmolenko. I'm aware I over defend him a bit too much, probably, Andre, because I just really like him. I think he's a fantastic footballer. I think he's arguably our best player in terms of like skill. If you were to, I don't know, if the ball was to drop 30 yards out the air in a straight line and you had to pick a West Ham player that's going to control it, get under that ball and control it and stop it on the ground, Yarmolenko's the player I'd pick probably. And I think tracking back is something that I just don't think he enjoys doing it. I don't think he likes doing it. And against Arsenal, it was him that sort of allowed Cabellos to get in behind. He just didn't track the runner at all. So to see him putting in that effort, sprinting back, pushing Bale essentially, doing the nitty-gritty stuff and getting up and running away to attack again, it's just brilliant. I was really happy by him, pleased to see that, and that attitude from him as well. And you only have to assume that comes from the error he's made against Arsenal, as well as another contributing factor, which I'll get onto in a second. And then we've got the goal. I was always say the winner. It's not a winner. And do you know something that's... social media winds me up now and again, but you know, like all this Tottenham fans going, oh, you're celebrating a point. We're not really celebrating a point, are we? Nobody's celebrating because we got 1 point from the game. It's the whole context. We've come from 3-0 down with 10 minutes to go to draw 3-3. It felt like a win. And in some ways, it feels better. The feeling I got when this goal went in is better than most goals that win us a match, if that makes sense. Like, take the Wolves game, when we scored the first goal of that game. I celebrated more for Lanzini's than I did for us to take the lead against Wolves. I think most of you know what I'm trying to say here. So you're celebrating the emotion, the feeling. Anyway, I don't have to justify it to you lot, do I? Anyway, the stunner from Lanzini. So we also know Lanzini's contribution here. But it's just a small one. But you've got to give a little nod of acknowledgement to Robert Snodgrass here. If we are winning, or even if we're drawing, Snodgrass takes Harry Winks out. I've got no doubt about it. Snodgrass is going in. But because he does sort of tee up the shot, he's there, he makes Winks put that heavy touch in. Without Snodgrass, Winks brings that down and clears it properly. But because Snodgrass is there, he has to take the heavy touch, which then falls to Lanzini. And I know he's not a substitution, but every time I watch it, I just fall in love a little bit more with Ogbonna's block on Harry Winks. The way he just sees Winks closing down Lanzini and thinks, nah mate, you're not getting there. You're not getting to Lanzini. I'm just going to move to the side a little bit and just completely take you out of the game. It's just perfect. That's what you want to see. And me and Gonzo are probably a little bit, like Yarmolenko for myself, we're probably a little bit too easy on Lanzini. We've always been big fanboys of Lanzini. When it comes to, when we do cups of tea and stuff and people say, would you sell Lanzini? We're always like, nah, because I believe there's a talented player in there. Now that goal doesn't justify his absence or his under par performances, but what it does do is give you a little bit of hope, a little reminder that the talent he does have in him, and it gives you a little bit of hope that we might see it again on a regular basis, that we might see the Lanzini of old. We might never see it, but I do think you can't ignore the fact that he had a potential career-ending injury, and to come back from that it's not easy itself. He's not been the same Lanzini since. We've saw it in spells. We saw moments where we've saw the old Lanzini. It lasts for a few games and disappears for a few games. But I think what he does do is he just says to everybody, including the manager, I'm not finished yet. And I think he's possibly played his way into contention for starting against Manchester City, to be honest, because you've got to reward. I think you've got to. I think Fornals and Bowen had poor games against Tottenham. Bowen wasn't necessarily poor, he was just quiet. I think Fornals was, again, I wouldn't say he was rubbish, he just didn't do enough and he was quiet. Whereas Lanzini's come on and contributed more than both of them in the 90 minutes. I'm not talking about the whole season here, I'm speaking purely about the Tottenham game. And for that, he has to play his way into contention. Obviously, we've got Ben Rama available for the Man City game as well. So Moyes has now got two attacking midfielders trying to get in, two that's done quite well for him this season. So there's four players now and only two positions. But we'll discuss that in the Man City preview. But I do think Lanzini's now just really sort of said, well, hang on a minute, I deserve a crack. And he's probably, before the Tottenham game, I would suggest that Ben Rama was maybe ahead of Lanzini in the pecking order. I'm not so sure anymore. But that's what football is. Football is it's about form, it's about momentum. And Lanzini's now got a little bit of it in the bank. So therefore, I think he's probably ahead of Ben Rama in the pecking order. Short term, I mean long term, you'd imagine Ben Rama would then go on to potentially overtake him again. But for this weekend, I think he might have something there. But what I will say is, what I was thoroughly impressed by is our work rate. The way we just kept going. And I don't think we were great against Tottenham. I think Tottenham were a better team. I think, at 3-0 up after 60 minutes, I think they took their foot off the gas a little bit. But that doesn't really matter. You still have to keep going. I thought we worked hard. I just didn't think we had enough quality. I'm not saying we didn't try. The work ethic was poor. I've got none of that. There's no questions about desire, if you want. It was just about being good on the day, and I didn't think we were up there. However, to keep going and to get that goal, it just gave everybody a little bit of a lift, and they just kept going. And that work ethic, you can only give credit to the manager and his team he's got with him as well, with Nolan, Irvine and so on. I think a year ago, I'm talking under Pellegrini here, we would never have got back into that. I've not seen West Ham with like a fight back in them since 2015-16 in the last year at Upton Park. That season, we used to go 2 goals down, and you'd think, that's all right, we're not out of this, we can still come back. And I've got that feeling about this team again this season. I feel like when we got a goal down, we're not out of it in terms of work ethic and commitment. I do have reservations that we are out of it in terms of substitutions then impacting the game. That's why I was extremely pleased on Sunday to see the substitutions come on and work. And I just hope we sometimes see a bit more. I just hope we see them a bit sooner sometimes. That's all. And I hope this gives Moyes encouragement that. I think it comes down to a trust issue with David Moyes. I am willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that he just doesn't trust Lanzini and Yarmolenko, whoever's on his bench. Like I said, I just don't think he looks at it and thinks, I'd rather stick with what I've got on the pitch here. And I just hope now, when we're playing Man City on Saturday, if he needs to make a sub and he's got the same bench there, he turns around, he looks at him and thinks, you know what? I trust Lanzini. I trust Yarmolenko. He obviously trusts Mark Noble. But I just hope now he can start to have players on that bench that he has faith in that can go on and change the game for him. Because I do think he didn't have that faith in all the players last season. Sometimes we had a Jetty on the bench. He's never had faith in him. Felipe Anderson, I never really got the impression that he had faith in him either. But it's a bit different now, I think. And if he can... Listen, Yarmolenko and Lanzini, maybe not last season, but after Sunday, I just hope he's got a little bit more trust in those players and he can utilise them a bit more going forward. But the work ethic, like I said, a year ago, we would never have come back into that game. Not at all. We would have probably gone on to lose 4-5-0, and that can only be credited to the manager. Pablo Fornals, though, actually, I'm not going to speak about this. I've just noticed a timer. 12 minutes in, I'm going to shut up. I'm not going to talk about Pablo Fornals. I'll leave that for another video. We've registered the squad tonight. The squad's been submitted to the Premier League. We've got 25 players in there. Declan Rice and Ben Johnson aren't registered because they don't need to be due to their age. But Nathan Trott is, and so is Nathan Holland. So Nathan Holland can play in the Premier League for us this season. But it means we've got 4 goalkeepers registered. 25 players registered. 4 of them are goalkeepers. And that leads me into what is tomorrow night's topic. I'm doing a cup of tea tomorrow night with Gonzo, and the main topic is a transfer window. I'm not going to lie, I have a few reservations about it. But I didn't want to do a video today or yesterday because I was feeling good. I was feeling positive, and I like it. And sometimes I think the last thing you want to put up on YouTube, the last thing you want your subscribers to watch is something that's a bit downbeat potentially after such a good result. So we're going to do it as a cup of tea. So there's a bit of positive stuff in there, which isn't to do with the transfer window. And then there's me moaning as usual. And then we've got the preview for the Man City game on Thursday. Anyway, I just thought I'd do a little video to praise David Moyes and substitutions. I was pleased. I was very pleased, particularly by Lanzini. Anyway, drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're around here. Myself and Gonzo. We'll catch you tomorrow night. See you soon.